Hi everyone, I'm Leroy,
Hi, I'm V.
and we are the hosts of Gamer Nerds. This is episode 2. We are going to be talking about quite a few things. Devil May Cry. Um, we actually have a sponsor that we'll get to later. Digimon Worlds. What the hell the Wonder Swan color was. And if
we'll get into that.
we'll get into that. Tales series, and then maybe some more depending on how much time we have left and such and such.
Last
Um,
time we kind of overshot it.
kind of. Sure, we'll go with kind of.
Shut up.
So we definitely overshot. Um,
Okay, so we're just gonna get right into it. No dilly dallying. You know who we are. You know what we stand for. The only upcoming game that we're really going to talk about today isn't actually technically a new game. It's a re-release of the old game, but Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition.
doesn't it
I'm
have some new stuff
super
too?
Yes, it does. I'm super hyped for it. I don't have a PS5, so I'm gonna have to wait until it releases for the PS4. But I'm buying it because I'm trash.
Isn't it coming
Like,
out on computer too? Didn't they announce that recently?
I don't know if it's coming out on computer,
I
but
will
I'm
Google.
probably just gonna buy it for well, because it says Xbox and PS5, but like they also said they're releasing it on PS4, so we'll
Du-
see when it
du- du-
gets
du-
closer to the release date. Which I
so
don't
far
think there
what
is
it
a release
says
date.
is it won't be coming to PC because of issues between the company, Capcom and
Hmm.
Steam. Which is funny
Yeah.
because if they're having issues, then what's going on with all these Resident Evil games that are about to be coming out?
Right.
So we'll get to that later, like on another
Um.
podcast. But
Yeah. So the special edition has a bunch of new features. There's turbo mode, which increases gameplay by like 20%
ooh,
speed, so you can like zip zap zoom through the level. It makes you feel really badass when you land your combos right. You
ah,
get an even bigger challenge with legendary Dark Knight mode, which is even harder than than Heaven or Hell and Hell. Oh god, Hell and Hell was awful. I'm not even gonna. Oh man, I can wait, but I also
so
can't wait. But
so
last
speaking on
last
that
but
game mode though, I do want to speak on that game mode real fast though. My first stepdad decided to introduce me to Devil May Cry. I think it was 3 specifically,
oh,
and
that one
put
was
me
a good one.
on the hardest difficulty, and was just like, "Try this game." And I was like, "Wow, it's kind of difficult, but I like it." And he is sitting there like, "Why haven't you died yet?" And that was my first time ever playing it. I was just like, I don't know. Is there a harder difficulty? He goes, no, there's not.
Yeah, so he just tossed you into the fire. Okay,
Mhm.
so the last but definitely the not the least interesting part of the special edition release
Uh
is
huh.
you now get to play as Virgil.
Mm.
And I am so hyped because I want to kick both Dante and Nero's ass as Virgil.
Hell
I'm
yeah.
like so excited because they've teased all of this new stuff. And like, of course,
Mm-hmm.
Virgil has Yamato and all this other stuff, but he has Beowulf again. So he has the royal guard stance that Dante had. And
Yeah.
I am so hyped. I
All the
cannot
hype.
wait. Like, I I'm so excited for this because I enjoyed Devil May Cry 5 so much. Like I even liked V with his weird Adam Driver looking ass. So,
We
which
don't
I
talk
mean,
about him
I
that
feel
often.
I feel really bad because like we share the same name, V, and like I really like when I have a character whose name is my name. Like there's the
Yeah.
protagonist in the Tales series, and then there's a side protagonist from Odin Sphere, but then you got V, and I was just like, what is this bitch? And then I found out he was a summoner, and I was all like, okay, this is badass. I didn't want to
Oh.
like him. Also, speaking of which, for those who don't know, Devil May Cry 5 actually has a side story manga called Visions of V. It's really interesting. It shows his part of the story, like
Yeah.
from when he first emerges as V and Urizen gets his start. Like
Hmm.
it shows all of that. It is super cool. The art style is really pretty. I absolutely 100% recommend going and reading it. There's like 26 chapters out
Yeah.
right now, and the second I get paid, I'm buying it. I'm buying a physical
I
copy.
feel it.
I like I they it draws so it's drawn so pretty, and you know I'm an artist.
Yeah.
And like, oh, speaking of which, I do have my Safer Work Twitter up for anyone interested. It's
Ooh.
the live cheese at Twitter. It's all one word,
Ooh.
no underscores, no numbers, no anything. So
Remind me
there
to
is
add it
that.
into our like dashboard thingy that has all of our
Hmm.
links.
Yes, of course, no problem. But yeah, so um, I'm super hyped for uh the special edition for Devil May Cry 5. I won't be able to actually give a personal experience until it launches for the PlayStation 4,
Yeah.
but I will definitely be looking at
Their
videos.
abs? Yeah,
And
me too.
oh honey, same. But no, I'll be watching all the videos because I'm such trash for Devil May Cry. I literally saw the trailer for Devil May Cry 5 like
Uh-huh.
way back, and I cried because it just looked so good. Because like the jump in graphics between 4 and 5 are just phenomenal.
Ooh, yeah. No, 100% can't agree.
All right, moving on.
Oh, good news that wasn't planned for the podcast. We're officially on Pandora.
We're officially on Pandora.
I just got the email. I was like, "What's that noise?" Looks over. Oh, hey. Um, but okay, so we've gone over like Devil May Cry. Like super excited about it. I didn't really get too many words in, mainly because I've only dabbled in Devil May Cry. I don't remember a lot of it either. I definitely need to replay it.
I have
Um,
played every single game. I know all the lore. If anyone wants to come chat with me, you know my Twitter.
oh no, like I played every single game too. I just don't remember it because like I would play it once and I'd never replay it. Most of the games that like I remember hardcore are the ones that I replay.
Hmm.
I don't know
That's
why I
fair.
didn't replay it though. Like it was fun. There had to have been something that was the reason why I didn't replay it, but who knows?
You associate it with your stepfather?
Probably. Probably. But okay, so moving on, would like to let everyone know now we're officially on Pandora. We are on TuneIn, Breaker, Google Podcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and Spotify. For those of y'all that are on Spotify, you can't like rate or anything. All y'all can do is follow. That's the rating quote rating system. You have enough followers, you
So
have a good
every
rating.
follow counts.
Yes. Everything else I'm pretty sure has a rating system. Pandora, I'm not sure. I think they have a rating system, but not like a following system. It's weird.
I wouldn't
Uh,
know. I don't really use Pandora. I'm one of those iHeartRadio people.
Same. Well, our
Not hashtag not
iHeartRadio.
sponsored.
Yeah, hashtag not sponsor. iHeartRadio is actually in the middle of approving us to be on it. Um, the more episodes we get out, though, by the way, the more likely we are to be on just about anything.
That's
Uh,
true.
and the more people that watch. So I do have to thank y'all so much. Y'all absolutely crushed how many views we thought we were gonna get. In total from YouTube, by the way, we're on YouTube too. We have a YouTube channel. You get to see the video version, which is basically me in a drawing. Anyways,
Well, rude.
literally
I can make you a drawing too.
we were at what was it? Well, I mean, I already do face cam on my channel, so
Hmm.
but I think we what was it 120 something views in total within the first 24 hours, guys. Y'all fucking killed it. Like thank you. That's great. Like I wasn't expecting more than 20, but that's just my brain being like, "You're gonna fail." um, whew. But like y'all crushed it. Did amazing. We are so thankful. Um We do actually have a sponsor. How far in are we? We're only 10 minutes. We'll do the sponsor in a little bit longer because it is a mid-roll. We can't do it within the first like 10-20 minutes.
Oh,
Um,
rip.
so let's go ahead and move on to Digimon Worlds. Would you like to lead this
This
or
is your topic. So I'm going to sit here and look pretty with my little drawing
okay.
and just have you go to town, you little
Okay.
gamer nerd.
So, I have loved specifically the Digimon World series. The first Digimon game I didn't like. Well, I played it. I kind of liked it, but it wasn't. It was their first one. It was like, let's see if this works.
It was
Um,
buggy.
so it was buggy. Had all these issues. It was also on PC and
Yeah.
PlayStation. So it came out on PlayStation in 1999. Then in 2002 it came out on Windows, which was a part of the reason why they were like better on PC. Like people played PC more than they played it on PlayStation because of that thing, because of the issues and stuff. They sold almost or they sold 1/4 of a million copies whenever it released in 1999. Also, technically, late 1999, early 2000. Um, they ended up remaking it and making it Pocket Digimon World, which was only released in Japan. It was the complete fixed version, and it only sold like 62,000 copies because it wasn't. It wasn't good. They thought that re-releasing it with all the fixes would make it good, but it wasn't. It How do I put it nicely? It was a shit show.
They tried.
They tried. It was a shit show though.
Here's a gold star. You tried.
Pretty much. Now, here's when they started getting better. Digimon World 2. Gotta say, it was a decent game. It sold plenty of copies. It was only in Japan and America though. You could get some copies in Europe if I remember correctly. That was just because the shipping went from Japan through Europe and blah blah blah. So they kind of dropped some off along the way. Um, the game wasn't bad. It was mainly dungeon crawling. There wasn't much of a story, if I remember, from what I could remember, or from what I can remember, because it's been forever since I even like played it. It was mainly dungeons, not much story. What little story there was, it was interactions with people that like you had to go out of your way for. It wasn't like, don't get me wrong, the battling system was great. I'm glad they kept it in their next one, Digimon World 3. Which is that the one that you're playing right now, V, right?
Yes, it is the one I'm currently super hyper fixated on. I've just beaten the second. Uh, for those of you who know Pokemon, the gym leader.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm about halfway through the quotes storyline, but for those of you who've actually played the game, you know that's not actually true. I'm probably like
Yeah.
maybe an eighth of the way. I'm spending most of my time grinding and leveling up all of my Digimon because
If you don't,
currently
you die.
my yeah, currently my Renamon is running around as Angelomon. I'm trying
Hmm.
to get her into Rosemon, and then I'm gonna get Rosemon into Phoenixmon. So that's fun. Yeah. I
Which
love grinding. Like, oh my
yes,
god, it's
which
the
is what I'm
best
talking
part.
about. Like it's what they kept. They kept the grindiness of it. Which, by the way, I want to do a Digimon World 4. I think is it 4 or 5? It's one of the two. Whenever you're done with Digimon World 3, I want to play 4 or 5 with you. I
Okay.
am looking into setting it up and we can stream it.
Okay.
So anyone that's listening, if you would be interested in that, please for sure let us know. We'll have it set up eventually. I have to work on how to make it think that she's, playing on the same computer as me, blah 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 blah, all that crap. But I'm 100% down to play that. It's up to 4 players. It's really cool. It's not turn-based or anything like the other one is, or like most of them. I do have to say the gameplay does feel really nice though. Um,
The
but
only complaint I have about some of the well, pretty much all of the Digimon games. Like it's
yeah.
not really a bad thing, it's just like a personal pet peeve, but any Digimon can turn into any Digimon and I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
There's supposed to be linear
Like
digivolutions
yeah.
here. Like, I'm sorry, Renamon shouldn't be able to turn into fucking Greymon.
Yeah,
That
like
shouldn't that
100%. That
shouldn't be a
shouldn't be a thing.
thing. Well, even in the later games they do it, so obviously it's just a function of the game itself,
Yeah.
which, that's just something I've
I
gotta get
mean,
over.
most of the story is about a virus causing weird things with Digimon, so I guess technically
Yeah.
you could lead into that being a factor, but they never really spell it out saying it's a factor.
Mhm.
So it's still one of those things where you're like flipping a coin, like, is it it? Is it it? Is it? But but before Digimon World 3 came out, they came out with Wind Battle Disc, which was base and Cool in Nature Battle Disc, which is basically the Pocket Digimon that went horribly wrong. Remaked into two other ones, which was actually a decent game, but because it was a remake of a bad game, no one gave it a
No one bought it.
chance. In total, from both sides, which everyone bought Wind Battle Disc, not Cool in Nature. Cool in Nature have 5,000 copies sold, and Wind Battle Disc has 8,000. Cool in Nature ended up actually being buggy as hell, which is why they didn't buy it as much, which was stupid. It's the same code, just different. Not that many different things. Like, it's slight differences. There is a lot I would have to get into in order to, like, spell this out. So we're just going to skip over
They
it.
tried.
They tried. They really did. Digimon World 4, which this one was the one that was on GameCube, PlayStation 2, Xbox. It's the one that I love the most. It came out in Japan, America, and PAL, which I think is like the rest of the world afterwards. So in 2005 on June 2nd it came to America. Me and my cousin actually had a Japanese version for his Xbox because we were messing with the settings and had it think, because it was just whenever like the internet started coming out. This was the first downloaded game I ever downloaded. I just thought of that. We had online and we downloaded it off, like we bought it and downloaded it online, but we had to change a bunch of the settings to make it think that we were in Japan to buy it. But Japan had an English version too, so it worked out for us.
Yeah.
But anyways, the plot follows 16 Digimon from the anime, which you can also evolve them in other ones. Though I do have to say I'm really disappointed that it's not the linear line and blah 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 blah. But after Digimon World 4, it just kind of went downhill. Like it was just like, oh, here's digitized decode, which was on this 3DS. It was decent, but I'm also a fanboy of Digimon, so I'm gonna say it's decent. Most people would have looked at
Yeah.
that game and would have been like, it's
It was
trash.
trash.
Same
Like,
thing
I
with
love
Next Order.
Digimon, but I'm a lot more critical of the media I consume.
Yeah.
So,
Which I tend to be too, but like with Digimon, I was a little kid in love with this series, and I had each one as it released that I could get my hands on first off. So like Digimon Digitalized Code was bad, but I still kind of liked it. Digimon World Next Order on the PS Vita, it didn't sell well, and that was mainly because it was on the Vita.
PS Vita. Like,
The
I have a
Vita didn't
PS
sell well.
Vita, and
It's bad. I rem-
the limited number of games I can play on the Vita makes me sad.
yeah.
But to
Which
be
okay,
fair, I also didn't pay for it, so
true. Well, that's my thing. Okay, so with the PS Vita, I just remember only like, I hate to be like that, but like I remember like people that get food stamps, like just the quote poor side of like America, all only having PS Vitas and not like Game Boys and 3DSs, which blew my fucking mind because they were cheaper than the PS Vita.
I
So I was
don't
just kind
know.
of it was weird to me. I
No one
remember,
I knew had a PS Vita, and I really only wanted the PS Vita for one game, which is a Tales series, which we're talking about next.
yeah, literally talking about next.
Like, that was, like, the only game exclusively for the Vita that I really
Oh,
wanted.
yeah.
Everything else is just like, "Okay, we ported it to the Vita."
Mhm. Which, by the way, this is I think I talked to you about this a little bit, V, whenever we're doing some research on the topic. I didn't know Digimon World Next Order International Edition was a thing. It came out for the PS4. I never knew. I would have gotten a PS4 if I would have known. It came out in 2017. So I
Hmm.
have no idea what this game is. Literally nothing. I know nothing about it. If I could, it looks like it's basically another digitalized decode or
Mhm.
digitized decode, but like better. So, think we'll get on, or I'll, if I ever get to look into it and like play with it and shit, I will let y'all know. But as of right now, I have no idea what it is. All I know is it didn't sell well, and apparently there was no marketing team for it. No, there were no like, it's a game. Here's our ad. Like there was no ads whatsoever for the game for some reason. Only in Japan, and there were like maybe one TV ad and one billboard.
Well, unfortunately, in Japan, like, Pokemon and Digimon are kind of tied, and then
Yeah,
here it's just, like, colossally Pokemon. Like, everyone loves Pokemon, and, like, it's just I don't know, it's kinda sad because, like,
it makes me sad too because like
bro,
we don't get all the movies. Like the
we
movies that come
don't.
out of Digimon, we
I
don't get
I
them.
I watch the movies with subtitles, okay? I have the movies.
I know,
Everyone
I
else
do
doesn't.
too. I'm just
Like,
in there
I'm
like,
I'm still I'm still so stoked that I got to watch Digimon Try. Like, that was so
yes.
good.
I still think the first Digimon movie is my favorite. The
Oh,
one
yeah.
where they're little kids and they hatched it and
Yeah.
everything. I'm just like,
I think
oh.
the I think the my favorite part about that movie was actually Ty's mom and her weirdest shit cooking, and then
Oh
Izzy's
yeah,
just
no,
over
one
there
hundred
supporting
percent.
her like a queen. Like,
Literally, I love it so much.
"Ty doesn't
Uh,
like my cooking." Well, of course he doesn't.
wait, you're gonna kill him. I would go into this other stuff that's specifically only for the DS, and it's supposed to be a world game, but it actually isn't. It's technically called Digimon Story. It's the storyline to the world games for the ones that didn't have storyline, like we mentioned earlier.
The ones that didn't really make it.
Yeah. So it ended up being decent, and there are other RPG games for Digimon, which I gotta say a few of them are pretty nice, and some of them are just once again flops, and some of them are only available in Korea, and some of them are only available in China with no translation whatsoever. So, if you know Chinese or Korean and want to translate it for us, that'd be great. Excuse me. There's also
Wow,
a
Leroy.
few
Wow.
apps. I had to burp. I'm drinking a soda. Um, there is an app somewhere. Let me scroll through real fast. Which, by the way, apparently they added in. You're breathing into your mic, by the way.
Oh, sorry.
I was just letting you know. There's there's a card game and an app, and I'm trying to find the app. Um, but I do gotta say, which this is a topic. A couple, or okay, a bunch of the games ended up on the Wonder Swan.
If you haven't seen The Wonder Swan,
Go look it up and just
please.
it literally. Okay, so have you ever had like your grandparents have one of those little game things that you hold that's like cards or like dice or something? It's literally that, but it played Digimon. It only played Digimon games.
Okay, okay. No, you know what it looks like? It looks like those the budget, like, handheld games that you got from McDonald's with your Happy Meal.
Yes.
You know, the
Oh,
ones where it's just like, go to the left to dodge the car, go to the right to
oh, might we add? It wasn't. It said Wonder Swan color, but there wasn't color in them.
Oh yeah, no, it was black and white.
It was black and white, but it was called color because it went from the Wonder Swan original being only black to the Wonder Swan color being red or blue.
Yeah. And then they tried to rebrand as Swan Crystal, and it's just like, bruh, you're not going anywhere. You're trying to compete
Literally.
with a DS. It's
Like
not gonna happen.
didn't the Swan Crystal come out like around it came out in 2002 whenever the DS like I think first came out. When
Yeah,
did
it came out like in July of 2002. The Swan Crystal, like its final form or whatever.
Oh, it came out 2 years, 2 whole years before the DS came out. And
And
then
it still failed.
but it wasn't colored. Game Boy Color was out already. So why would you I don't know. Um Basically in short, the worlds like video games they're so good. Like they're great. I love them to death. Not all of them are as good as I would hope,
Or
but
remember.
or remembered. But they are good games. If you get down to the bare bones, they are decent and good games. The story is great if it has it. And if it doesn't have story, then the gameplay is great, which is stupid. It's like the gameplay is
Mhm.
great, but there's no story. Or the story is
It's
great, but
like they
there's no
can't focus on
gameplay.
all of the areas. They don't
Yeah.
only focus on one.
Which they finally got in Digimon World 3 and like 4. They finally
Mhm.
got it right, and then they broke it again.
Mhm.
But so that's pretty much where we're standing with all that at the current moment.
There
Moving
are
on.
a few. There are a few other Digimon games, like the Cyber Sleuth ones, which were
Th-
actually really fun. I need to actually continue playing them.
those were like a separate story one. They have like a whole different like civil and everything.
Yeah, that's fair. So are we done with Digimon?
Yeah, we're done. I do
Okay,
want to
so
say
before we
after
segue,
Oh, I was
go.
gonna say after we do your Tell series, I do want to touch on the Ryzen 5 series
That's
that
fine.
just came out because we
Before
haven't
we
done
get
PC parts.
into before we get to the next topic, uh, we are going to insert a thing from our sponsor, which is Anchor.fm. And when Leroy uploads the podcast itself, this is where the uh,
I think I'm gonna stick with Saturdays when we upload.
that's good. But yeah, so this is where we'll upload the sponsorship. Hopefully, you can edit out that entire
Oh yeah.
disappointing
Um
word fumble.
yeah, we can pretty much just edit that part out.
Mm-hmm.
If I even remember, you'll have to keep on me about it and be like, hey, we're at 27 minutes. Mark that down somewhere so that we know.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, so uh, Leroy got into the Digimon and the Digimon world kind of nerd
Hmm.
segment. So now it's
Nerdgasm.
my turn. Yeah, now it's my turn for the nerdgasm. And my choice for nerdgasm was the Tales series by Bandai Namco.
Hmm.
Namco, or I don't know, they change their names slightly all the time. So
Yeah.
Namco Tales Studio specifically, they released series of games called the Tales series, and it's not like Tales 10. It's Tales of, so like Fantasia, Destiny,
Hmm.
or Eternia, Symphonia, blah 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 blah. So each Tales of game is its own standalone kind of story,
Okay.
kind of like how Final Fantasy
Yeah,
works.
that's what I was gonna ask.
So Final Fantasy 7 doesn't really have anything to do with Final Fantasy 8 unless, you're talking about Dissidia, and we're not talking about Dissidia here.
Yeah, we're not. Mhm.
The first Tales game actually came out in 1995. It was Tales of Fantasia. It was a relatively short game, and not a lot of people played it.
Mhm.
2 years later, Tales of Destiny came out, and there was kind of a naming issue. People kind of got Destiny and Fantasia a little mixed up, and
Yeah.
because of that, neither one after the release of Destiny kind of did well. So they tried moving on, and the series kind of remained obscure until 2003 when
Yeah.
Tales of Symphonia showed up. And Tales of Symphonia was originally released for the GameCube. Got ported to the Wii. I'm kind of hoping that they eventually remake the game with, the really good graphics for, what's currently out. But,
Mhm.
my nerdy little heart will just have to hope. Uh, the Tales series tends to focus on a more fantasy setting rather than like a medieval or a futuristic setting. I don't I'm hmm, there's too many plot lines to really get into. I see you eating there. There's too many plot lines to really get into each one. Tales of Symphonia tends to follow kind of an airheaded protagonist and his friends on their quest to save the world. Um, Tales of
Like you
Rebirth
do.
is the next one. Is was released in 2004, and it was um it had mixed reviews.
Mhm.
Uh, the the graphics kind of went more pixelated as opposed to the kind of 3D models that Symphonia had introduced. So it wasn't exactly super well received, especially
Mhm.
since it was also for the PlayStation 2. So like it had the potential for the graphics.
Mhm.
It just didn't really go anywhere. And then in 2005, a year later, they actually released two games in the same year. And the flop of the year was Tales of Legendia, which had a very poor story. The pacing was kind of awful. The character designs were really out there,
Ridiculous.
ridiculous. And it was also for the PlayStation 2, so everyone was just kind of like, "Oh, we're so hype," and then it didn't
It didn't
really
go.
live up to the expectations. And then in the same year, Tales of the Abyss came out. And Tales of the Abyss is actually where I got introduced to the Tales series, and it's probably one of my favorite RPGs to play. It actually got
Mhm.
remastered for the 3DS. If anyone is interested, I highly recommend it. You actually play your main character is an amnesiac boy who gets whisked away on this adventure, and he finds out that he really doesn't know anything because he's the son of an aristocrat and he's like super overprotected, and um
Same.
basically gets involved in a war, and basically has to save the world. And the emotional journey that this character goes through is actually really touching because he goes from this character who doesn't really know anything to someone who is willing to do anything for someone else. And it's just his progress throughout the whole game is absolutely gorgeous. And the opening cutscene is like the art for the Tales series really takes off at this game. The opening cinematic, is the song is Karma and the band is Bump of Chicken. Don't ask. Japan's weird. Um,
Okay.
like I have that downloaded and it just kind of plays occasionally when I put my phone on random, and it's such a good song. It always makes me feel kind of
Bump
hype,
of
you know?
chicken. Hype
It's
squad.
I'm serious, that's what it's called.
I just
Okay.
love that it's called Bump of Chicken. That's gonna
That's
be
what
in
the
my head
band name
forever.
is. Okay. Okay. So the next Tales game comes out, I believe, a year after Tales of the Abyss.
Uh-huh.
It's for the DS. It's called Tales of the Tempest, and it actually took on a pretty unique, somber story as opposed to some of the others, which are more like hopeful. like the main
Yeah.
character goes through this really emotional journey, and then this one just like, man, it started out dark.
Same.
The graphics were kind of downgraded because of the DS and its limited capabilities. So it was good, but it didn't live up to a lot of the expectations that people had for it. Um and then after that came out Tales of Innocence, which I never actually got to play because that was actually a period of my childhood where um I was homeless, not gonna lie. Um I
Oh.
didn't have a chance. It came out on the DS and it got a remaster for the PS Vita.
Oh.
Yeah. So, there's that. I still haven't gotten around to actually beating it, so I don't know the entirety of the system. So, maybe one day I will eventually get to it,
Mhm.
but unfortunately, I have not actually beaten it. Um So in 2008, Tales actually had 3 games. One was a sequel to Tales of Symphonia.
Mhm.
It basically had the same characters, but with better graphics and different voice actors for like 50% of the cast. And that really ticked off a lot of the fans because all of the really good characters that everyone liked all had different voice actors, and so the game a lot of people just didn't even give the game a chance,
Oh.
which sucks because it actually had a semi decent storyline, and you got to see all of your favorite characters in better, less chunky graphics. So I just slapped that game onto Japanese and read the subtitles.
Oh.
Yeah, so whatever. Um, that year also came out Tales of Hearts, which is a PS Vita exclusive. I have that game. I also haven't beaten that game. I feel really bad about not beating that game, but it's the truth. So I can't
Mhm.
give a whole, uh, you know, approval, non-approval. It
Approval,
had good
non-approval, a
graphics.
yeet.
Yeet. It had good graphics. The battle system was pretty okay. I believe the leveling system didn't really groove well with me. I think that's why
Yeah.
I didn't really play it a
No,
lot.
100%.
Yeah, because like if your leveling system is trash, no one's gonna level grind, bruh. And
Yeah.
then the last game of 2008. Well, I think it was the first game of 2008. But anyway, was Tales of Vesperia, and Tales of Vesperia is my number one Tales game.
Mhm.
And here's why. So the story follows Yuri Lowell, and
Mhm.
he is a military dropout um, who lives in the lower quarter. So he's dirt poor, like me, relatable.
Theme.
And he kind of ends up getting whisked into this grand tale with this princess. And basically, I related hard to Yuri
Mhm.
because he's literally cursed. He has the worst luck and the cutest dog companion ever.
Mhm.
And so like the entire story is just absolutely beautiful, and the theme song is by Bonnie Pink, who is actually pretty popular for JRPGs and
Yeah.
stuff. And the theme song is Ring a Bell. I also have that song. It is also a bitchin' fucking
It's a
soundtrack.
bop.
It's a bop, okay? But the issue that came with Tales of Vesperia was there was an Xbox 360 port and there was a PlayStation 3 port. And
Oh.
the PlayStation 3 port only came in Japanese. No English whatsoever. No
Oops.
wording, no speaking, like it was
Mhm.
exclusive to Japan, but you had entire characters locked behind the Japanese port. So in
Uh.
the Xbox 360 version, which is the English version, which is the one I had to play, Well,
Hmm.
I actually didn't know this until like halfway through my game, but you're actually locked out of two characters. You are locked out of like a third of the storyline, and it's just
What?
it was really
Why?
disappointing. And then Tales of Vesperia actually got a port to the
Uh-huh.
Switch, which I have now, and it's the full game. So you get all your characters, you get all your story, and you actually get to unlock all of the DLC outfits
Hell yeah.
right away, which is really fun because my favorite outfit for Yuri is actually the hardest one to get.
Hmm.
Of course it is. um,
Damn.
it also has a spin-off movie called The First Strike, Tales of Vesperia. It kind of takes place before the events of the game, but it ties in really nicely. It's also only in Japanese, unfortunately. But
Konnichiwa.
yeah. Um, Tales of Vesperia is definitely 100% my favorite Tales game. It is the Tales game I definitely recommend anyone who wants to get into this series. Next would be Tales of the Abyss, which I've already covered. Tales of Graces flopped really hard when it came out the next year.
Like hard flop?
Like hard flop. It came out on PS3, and
Ugh.
the characters kind of took this weird um oh this weird pastel look. So like all of the other games had definitely this fantasy vibe, and then Tales of Graces just took this really weird pastel color palette, and then you were kind of time traveling, but you weren't time traveling. It was basically telling the story in multiple parts, but it kept flopping between the parts.
Huh.
So it was really frustrating because you had to juggle these characters and their story, and you had to piece together what happened in what order.
Yeah.
And it wasn't cohesive. Like, it was definitely a good try, but it wasn't cohesive. So
Oh no,
then
for
2010 didn't
sure.
really have anything. And then in 2011 and 2012, we get Tales of Xillia and Tales of Xillia 2. So Tales of Xillia and Tales of Xillia 2 are actually really good entries into the series. They're probably definitely top 5, but I always link them together as like the same
Hmm.
kind of game because it they don't change the fighting system, they don't change the level up system, really anything. So it's just kind of like a continuation. It could technically be a DLC.
Hmm.
Um, Tales of Xillia, you get two protagonists to choose from, and it's two separate stories that are going the same direction. And you get Jude, who is a medical student looking to be a
Hmm.
doctor, and you get Mila, who is a scion of the gods. So,
Okay.
totally equal footing there.
Equal
Um,
footing.
he accidentally gets swept up in her quest. So, it's
Okay.
actually kind of nice to have a female lead, and she also ends up disabled at one point.
Oh.
And she actually continues to remain disabled. She she basically loses function of her legs, and she has to use a device to give her the power to walk again, but it causes her great pain. She can't
Oh.
really use it for extended periods of time, even though she's a scion of the gods. She that's a lot of pain. So
Yeah.
the first story takes place, and then the second one happens right after, where you get introduced with two new characters. And this one actually has time travel
Hmm.
involved, and you hop to alternate dimensions. And it actually handles the time travel alternate dimension aspect really well.
Like a
Um,
lot better than it did
oh,
before.
a lot better. um, like you get visual clues, so like there's like a gradient on
Oh
the
yeah.
edge of the screen. There's um the loading screen.
The
That's
loading
that's what it
screen.
technically is. But
Yeah.
for them, they're going through a portal. So,
Yeah.
whatever. It was a clever use of a loading screen. Um the Zillia actually has one of my favorite characters. His
Hmm.
name is Gaius. Um I won't say who he is, or his role in Zillia, but he's a fun
He's a thing.
character. Yeah. So then the series goes another 3 years before another entry, and we get Tales of Zestiria. And Tales of Zestiria, which I know it's a weird name, uh,
Yeah.
it's it was a weird inclusion because in all of the other Tales games, you had a party of 4, and you could run around and have the AI control the other 3 party members, or you could have someone else plug in their controller. I mean, you could have 4 people playing the same game if you had that port
Yeah.
thing. But Tales of Zestiria introduced a system where the main character, whose name is Saray, can
Mhm.
channel the power of his Nephilim friends, who are pretty much angels, and
Mhm.
they supercharge him, and he becomes, this super badass fighter, but you lose a party member. So you kind of had to be careful, using this system. You can only have so many people using this power at once. You can only have 2
Yeah.
people playing realistically. The story was good. The character designs are actually really nice.
Mhm.
Um, it was overall a very, very fun game. And the next year, when Tales of Berseria came out, I was
Mhm.
super stoked because, one, it's a prequel to Zestiria. 2, the main character's name is Velvet, and she's a
Mhm.
boss. She basically gets this demon arm that can consume other demons.
Oh,
So
fun. Just like
already,
grandma.
just like grandma. Um, it touches on a bunch of characters from the Zestiria game.
Well, as long as she's not
Berseria
touching
actually made me
demons.
cry. Berseria actually made me cry because you meet this quotes little girl, but she's a spirit. She just doesn't age in Zestiria, and her brother is corrupted, and he got turned into a dragon, which you think is pretty cool. He got turned into a dragon, but he lost himself. And
Oh.
in Berseria, you actually get to know the brother before he gets corrupted, and you get to see how he gets corrupted. And I cried. Like, I cried
I
so
don't like
bad.
that.
I know, and I'm just sitting here like, why would you do this to me? Like, why would you
How could this happen
do
to
this to me?
me? I made
Yeah.
my
Um,
mistake of opening this game.
yeah, pretty much. But again, like, Tales of Zestiria and Berseria kind of really just upped the graphics for the Tales series.
Yeah.
Like, they are super nice, but they are still JRPGs. They do have like the drawn cut-ins for ultimate moves, you have crafting, you have all the great things that make a JRPG a good
A
JRPG.
JRPG. Yeah.
Aside from those ones I mentioned, don't touch those. um, but I do bring this up today because the Tales series is actually coming out with a new game in 2021. Doesn't have a specific date yet, but yeah, I'm really excited for Tales of Arise. I don't know what the
Oh, yeah.
story is going to be about, but oh boy, howdy, am I going to buy it. I
Hell
am
yeah.
a simp for the Tales series. I own just about every single one.
You
Yeah.
got me into playing Tales, and then I got this one, or I had this one Tales game that was in my like
Symphonia. Yeah, I
Steam.
know you have Tales of Symphonia, and you didn't want to play it because they came out with a graphically better one, and you're like, well, I'm
Well,
just not gonna play it.
it's not even that too. It's also the controls are all sorts of fucked.
Yeah, that's fair. Some of the ports aren't
Good.
desirable.
Good feel wise. Good feel wise to be specified.
When we were living together, I did show you Tales of Vesperia, and you were really interested. So I
Oh
think you
yeah.
should definitely buy Tales of Vesperia for the Switch and experience the gayness that is Yuri and Flynn.
I will. I have to like of course, when I get money.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But that ends my however long this rant was about the
Uh,
Tales series by Bandai Namco.
About 20 minutes.
Everyone should at least play one of the games. If you had to choose one, I'd suggest Tales of the Abyss or Tales of Vesperia. Those were the two that really stuck in my heart. I mean,
Yeah.
Berseria just straight up made me cry, but you kind of have to play Zestiria first to really get them feels.
Oh, a fucking course. If you don't go for the feels first, then there's something wrong with you.
Right? Like, please.
But I would for sure be down to head into our last topic for the night for the last 10 minutes. All right, well, were we wanting to do an hour or an hour and 30?
I mean, we can do
Because
an
we're at
hour and
50.
30.
Okay, so we're at 50. So this might not be the last one, but we can go into it real fast. The new Ryzen Zen 3 processors, 500 or 5000 series processors. AMD just revealed it. Apparently it'll be available November 5th or starting at like $300. But these processors are supposed to make it to where they blew Intel out of the water. Like at this point, there's no reason to stick with Intel whenever you upgrade your computer. And that's not just because I'm an AMD fanboy. You can literally ask any one of those tech channels that are Intel fanboys. They started swapping over to Ryzen processors because not only with this new processor is it better than Intel, but it's more optimized for gaming now too, and it still keeps its workload performance. You can stream, you could edit videos, you can do whatever you need to, you could game. Like the processor has hit the point where it's at its max limit, and they're going to be coming out with a new architecture for it. Like they have the Zen 3 architecture for this. This is what they've been running off of for almost all the Ryzens. And their entry level for the new 5000 series is a Ryzen 5 5600X. That will be available November 5th. I think we're past that, aren't we?
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, it's the 10th, honey.
Yeah, we're past that. So it's already
okay,
out.
For me, it's the 11th.
Well, yeah.
East Coast. Ooh.
I got like 50 minutes, 40 minutes, and then I'm right there with you. Yeah, no, like they've gone above and beyond with this. I believe altogether AMD basically says that that simply replacing the Zen 2 CPU with a comparable Zen 3 model, the new chips are compatible with older motherboards after a firmware update. So you don't have to worry about replacing your motherboard either if you're already running Ryzen. Eber. Which roughly that will result in about a 26% improvement for just about anyone that's using them, customer wise. Of course, well, I'd have to. Why did I just say customer? That literally is anyone that's buying it and using it. You are technically a customer of AMD.
Yeah.
And I believe they'll be keeping the same TDP and core counts roughly. So like 32 threads, 16 cores, all that shit that's been going on. Let me scroll down. I can actually tell you exactly. So for the Ryzen 9, 19 or 5900 and 5950 or 5950, they will be. Yeah, so they're going to be using quite a bit of power, except for the Ryzen 5 5600. That one actually doesn't use that much wattage, but it still keeps up with them. Jesus. They have a nice 72, 70, 36, and 35 cache, like megabyte cache. And then the Ryzen 9 can go up to 4.9. Not quite hitting that 5.0 spot, which Intel's been hitting, but Intel's been hitting it because they're not really focusing on anything else. Why they're falling off and shooting themselves in the foot. But yes, so Ryzen 9, the highest price one at $800 will be, which they used to be cheaper than Intel. Now they're pricing them about the same, still slightly cheaper, but pricing them the same basically because they're like If you're gonna pay for Intel's stuff that is worse than ours, why not up our prices so that we can make more money and continue to grow this shit even faster, which is exactly what needs to be done. AMD's Ryzen stuff is blowing everything out of the water. It's getting better and better every single day. But 16 cores, 32 threads for the highest price one. For the 550 one, it's 12 cores, 24 threads, 8 cores for the Ryzen 7, and then 6 cores for the Ryzen 5. None of them are 4-core processors. These are meant for multitasking, running a bunch of internet tabs, streaming, gaming, all that shit. This is one of the reasons why it's in my computer. It does it well. But anyways,
Leroy might be a broke bitch, but his computer is decked to the nines.
for real. I'm pretty sure my 2070 Super, I can't really say I'm pretty sure my computer is decent. No, it's up there. I'm running top of the line anything I can get a hold of. Of course I'm not going to go 2080 Ti. But I have a 2070 Super. AMD though is Oh, by the way, the chips have only gotten like $50 price increase from the Zen 2 architecture, just FYI. But AMD is taking a direct shot at Intel with the new lineup, particularly the company's Core i9 10900K model, whatever the fuck it is, because Intel can't make it simple. Which Intel has previously boasted is the world's fastest gaming processor. And then, while and they're like, AMD's chipsets won't beat it, blah 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 blah. But they didn't beat it on the sheer clock speed. They didn't. We'll be completely honest. It didn't hit the 5.0. It hit 4.9. Ooh, wow, a whole 0.1. But still, it ended up top side 4.9, but AMD offers so many advantages like improved power efficiency and a higher core and thread count. So, yes, you lose by like 0.1 or 0.4, I think it actually is, because because theirs is a 5.3. But you have all this other shit that can be ran better because you have more cores and threads. Like literally, let me run down this chart real fast. At 1080p across all boards, with the only thing changing is the processor itself. The Core i9 lost every single one except for Battlefield. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 10. AMD won every single one except for Battlefield. The i9 beat them in Battlefield by 3%. The rest are fucked up. League of Legends, Ryzen beat it with 21%. PUBG beat it by 5%. Dota 2 beat it by 6%. FIFA, I think it is, beat it by 6%. Total War 3 Kingdoms, Battle Test, beat it by 1%. CSGO, 19%. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, 6%. Far Cry, 2%. Ashes of the Singularity, CPU test, Vulkan, which Vulkan stresses out your CPU a lot, 5%. It beat it on everything but Battlefield. And Battlefield was running on DX12, the same as everything else. It's just Battlefield works specifically with Intel and has all their stuff. Like they have all of Intel's stuff pretty much. Let me allow that. Okay, but they pretty much have all their stuff compatible with Intel shit for a reason. Because they're partnered with them. So you can't really look at Battlefield and be like, oh no, 3%. If that was an even level playing field, which that's the only one that wasn't even level playing field. Actually, almost all of them, AMD is the negative. Because almost every single one of these is partnered with Intel. But they still beat them in every single one but Battlefield. If that tells you how good AMD is growing as a company since the new CEO, you should definitely look into AMD. I'm not gonna lie, I have stocks in them too now. Uh,
Hashtag not sponsored.
yeah, but not hashtag not sponsored. But like, I would definitely recommend them if you're building a computer for the first time. 100% go their way, dude. Go do it. It's fucking great. Only problem I get is occasionally I'll get less FPS than Intel. Maybe. If they're running this basically the identical CPU as me, I'll be like 5 FPS less. But I'm running it like 300 plus FPS, so I don't think there's a reason why 5 FPS should matter if I'm running about 300. Just saying. Plus, if you get the new stuff, you'll actually be doing better than Intel now. But that will be the end of my rant with AMD. Go get it.
My computer runs.
You're like, mine does a thing.
Mine runs and it lets me play games that are real pretty.
Oh,
That's a major exaggeration. I know a little bit about computers, but I don't keep up on like the newest stuff. So
oh, I do.
yeah, there's
I'm a
that.
sucker
He's just
for
over here
it.
geeking out, and I'm like, okay, cool. It's a new paperweight.
Rude ass.
Rude ass.
All right.
Okay.
We might end up ending here unless we want to go over Tetramaster, because everything else is gonna take a bit of time. And we only got like 30 minutes. So we can either end it here, or we can go over Tetramaster and then end after that. What do you think?
I literally just blanked out everything you said.
We don't. Okay. All of
We
our
don't
other
have
stuff,
long.
we don't have long because all the other stuff would take too long. Tetramaster would be the quickest one we could do.
Okay.
So if we want to, we can do Tetramaster.
Tetramaster it is. Okay. So, for those of you who don't know, Tetramaster is a virtual card game that came out in Final Fantasy. I believe it got popular in 9.
Yes. Its release date was like 2002. Like whenever the first Tetramaster ever came out.
Yeah. So no, because that was when like the Tetramaster, like just Tetramaster came out. Because I'm pretty sure Final Fantasy 9 came out before that.
What, 2002?
2000, yeah.
It did?
Yeah, Final Fantasy 9 came out July 7th, 2000. And then Tetramaster, like just the Tetramaster game itself, got released in 2002. And unfortunately, its service ended in 2012 or 2010. My bad.
2010.
And I'm so sad because Tetramaster is my favorite card game that came out of Final Fantasy.
Oh,
it
yeah.
100% hands down beats Triple Triad from 8. I don't care what anyone has to say. Fight me.
Which, by the way, Tetramaster might be coming back. Tetramaster might be coming back. Because Final Fantasy XI's being remade. And guess what? Final Fantasy XI and Tetramaster were on the same launcher, and the coding was pretty much intertwined with each other. So if they're remaking it, they're probably going to remake it back. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. That's about all I can do. Hope, pray.
I will say that like a lot of people had complaints that Tetramaster wasn't straightforward enough. Which, I mean, literally just pay attention to the tutorial.
I was a little kid and I was beating up people in it, and I'm not even kidding you, I almost went pro in it, but my stepdad at the time, the one that we talked about earlier about the Far Cry, the account was under his name, so they were going through him, but because I didn't have my own account and because I was underage, like that couldn't have been a thing. Like there was a pro scene for this. There was. It was so good. Like I was little. How could people not understand how to play Tetramaster when like I'm little? I literally stumbled upon it. I accidentally activated Tetramaster in our account because you had to pay separately for it. And I accidentally turned it on, and we're paying like what was it? I think it was like $2 to $5 a month to do the online features with it. And we didn't even know, because I just accidentally turned it on and I got really into it. I was like, dude, this is great. But I digress. Oh, did she die?
No, I'm still here. I'm just trying not to giggle like a maniac listening to you go on about this. Because, like, literally, I found Tetramaster to be really enjoying, words, really fun to play, because it wasn't like
Yeah.
just straightforward. There was a little bit of the
Oh, it was
randomness
$1.
to a little bit of the randomness to the attack points and the defense points, and whether it was
Yes.
a magic card or if it was like a physical card
Oh, and then like
instead
the
of
angles
triple
and stuff.
triad. Yeah, then like the random angles of the cards, as opposed to triple triad, which was really boring. Plus
Yeah.
all the rules kept changing in triple triad, like depending on where you went. It was just annoying. It
Oh
was
yeah.
really annoying.
I
Like, I
remember,
just
what was
keep
it, the
your rules
girl?
the same.
Right. I remember the girl, or the like chef looking thing, or the maid with like the long tongue. That was like my favorite card because I had it built up to the point where it was like so fucking good. And I added it to my deck. I had her, I don't remember exactly, but I always had her like super fucking built, and she's so good. Like, it's been so long, I don't remember everything. But whenever like the pro players, their decks became purchasable decks in like shop cards, because they were so proud of like the pro scene that came out. So like if you won with a deck, it ended up in a shop somewhere for someone to buy, and it went towards you and the company. It was great. I have to say though, my deck was kind of like very weird, and not. I just chose things I thought were cool and cute, and I won a lot. What about you? Oh,
No, I'm just sitting here kind of thinking to myself that I I probably spent more time than I should have playing Tetramaster, as opposed to actually playing, the Final Fantasy game, because I got introduced to
yeah.
Tetramaster in Final Fantasy 9.
Hmm.
So, like, I spent more time collecting cards and actually just playing the game, like, on the side game, as
Yes.
opposed to the actual plot. Speaking of which, 9's plot is far superior to 8. I will fight literally anyone on this.
Honestly, I might. I'm. You know what? Final Fantasy 9 actually has a thingy, an emulator. I might just go back and emulate it so I can
I
play the
mean,
card
if you
game.
have if you have a
Oh, it's
PlayStation
even on
3 or
Steam. I
4,
could just buy it on Steam. How much is it on Steam?
it's like $9. But
Is it?
yeah, I think it should be. It's either $7 or $9. I got mine on sale on the PlayStation Store for like $5 around Christmas. So I have it like on my PlayStation Portable,
It's
my PS3,
$20
my
and
PS4.
99 cents. What the fuck?
What the fuck? Hold on, honey. Hold on, hold on. I'm gonna look
20.99.
something up. Um, you're talking about Final Fantasy 9, right?
Yeah, 20.99. Hello, welcome to 2099.
Why is it so much?
I'm more thinking, what's that awkward 99 at the end of 20?
Right? Like if it was 19.99, it's like okay, it's like $20. But it's like 21. Like what? What?
Who
Why
knows?
is it so much money?
All I know is I like Vivi. I love Vivi.
Vivi's adorable.
Honestly, I really wish there was a way for us to play Tetra Master like together right now, like because I would be.
That would be fun.
Because I don't know, like for Tetra Master, I want to play so bad. I really do. Like right now, like just give it to me.
Do you have a PlayStation?
No.
Like a PlayStation 3 or no, nothing? What
All I
about
have
a
is a
PSP?
PC. All I have is a PC and a Switch.
Okay, here's what you do. You download a PlayStation 1 emulator and then you just play it on the emulator.
That's what I was planning on.
You know
But
what? Do it.
I want to play on my.
You want to fight actual people in the card game. You don't want to.
Yeah. Also, by the
Yeah.
way, there's an app. There's an app on the phone. There's an app on the phone. There's an app on the phone called Tetramaster. It's Tetramaster. It is the correct Tetramaster.
Okay, well, I'm pretty sure we should just end the stream and then get back to everyone.
Creaming.
We'll get back to everyone with an update on if the Tetramaster app is actually good versus,
It's
him
in a
getting his
language
hopes
I
up.
don't know.
Learn whatever language it is.
I'm about to. Don't even worry about it. But all right, guys, thank y'all so much for coming out for the stream. We went, you know the topics that we went over. If you're listening all the way to the end, if you don't, well, you're on the stream. Hi, how are you? But this will be live on Saturday. What Saturday is that? What's the number? What the date for that Saturday? It would be 14th.
Yep, the 14th.
Friday the 13th is Friday the 13th is Friday. I'm excited. Friday the 13th is my favorite day, no matter what. But all right, guys, thank y'all so much. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording here. We'll continue with the live stream though. I'm probably gonna be playing something. Who knows?
We can play the forest.
Yeah, I'm down to play the forest. We can go to the forest. So, bye guys. Thank you for joining us for the podcast. See you next time.